welcome to Planet Nerd. This week on the show...
Good afternoon, Daniel. I just wanted to check and see how you're doing working from home.
Great. Yeah, just great. I should have that software ready for you by the end of today.
Daniel, you sure are doing a great job. Keep this up and you're in line for a promotion, buddy. You know, I've never told you this, but you're doing a great job of keeping your day job and that TV stuff separate.
Thanks, Steve. I promise I won't let you down. Oh my fucking god. News. Transformers comes out today. Don't have anything about Transformers. Bugger! Na.
Hi, I'm Rob Lloyd, and this is my DVD review. It's 1963, November. The news that JFK has just been assassinated is still rocking the world. The day after, a little TV series called Doctor Who went to air and pretty much became the longest running and most successful science fiction show in the history of the world. William Hartnell took the role, and he had his three fabulous assistants, Ian, Barbara and Susan, going through his time-travelling adventures. The first story, The Unearthly Child, and then turned into 10,000 BC, is a bit boring and ho-hum. But then we've got the Daleks hitting the screens for the first time and captured the imaginations of the world. And the last story on this special edition box set is The Edge of Destruction, or as I like to say, The Edge of Boredom. It's a very uninteresting two-part story. The Daleks hold this whole box set together, and it's great to see William Hartnell at his prime before he went pretty much old and decrepit and started losing his mind and forgetting his lines. Out of 7 Samurai, I give this 6.5. I've been Rob Lloyd, rock the Casbah.
Soldiers of Rome, fear not. The gods are smiling upon us. We are battling the barbarians of the north.
I see before me an army of free men and women. But what will you do with that freedom? Will you fight?
Brothers and sisters, what we do in life echoes in eternity.
Run, and you may live for a while.
3 weeks from now, I will be harvesting my crops. Imagine where you will be, and it will be so.
But dying many years from now in your beds, would you not give up every moment till then to come back here and tell your enemies they may take our lives, but they may never take our freedom?
When the light flashes and the signal is given, unleash hell.
Hold the line! Hold!
Stay with me. Hold the line.
Charge!
Right, content. Doesn't have to be new content. It could be old content. It could be stuff I've done elsewhere. Dear Breakfast Show.
Welcome back to The Breakfast Show. Now, at this time, every fortnight, we are usually joined at this very desk by Mr. Dan Walmsley with his computer socks and his propeller hat, but we've actually sent him to New York because our budgets are so extraordinary.
Well, that big butcher, very generous.
So generous.
Yeah, we bought the ticket with meat.
He took a meat plane to New York, but we do have, I think we have him on the line. I don't know how this is going to go. Are you there, Dan? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, Emma.
Oh, what's that behind you, Dan?
Ah! Oh, sorry. I thought you meant there was some kind of monster behind me. No, what we have here is the Apple Cube. This is for Apple nerds. This is Mecca. This is the Apple store in New York. And as you can see, It is a giant glass cube. The store itself is recessed into the ground. Now, the reason why I've come here today is because Apple this month is releasing heaps of new products. It is like a massive month for Apple. For one thing, there is the new iPhone which is coming out. For another thing, they're updating all their laptops. And thirdly, the Worldwide Developer Conference is next week, and Apple is going to release the new operating system, the latest version of OS X, which is promised to have heaps of new features, and everyone's very excited about it. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is I'm very excited about all this stuff, but I have no idea why. It's just some kind of mythical reality distortion field. I mean, lots of companies make laptops, lots of companies make phones, lots of companies make MP3 players. Why am I so excited about Apple?
Because you're a giant nerd, that's why, yeah.
So I did a bit of research. I looked into the reality distortion field. Now, if you go back to the early 80s and late 70s, that was when Apple created their premier products that got them started. They had the Apple I, the Apple II, and then the Macintosh, which was the first graphical computer, the first computer to have a mouse. Everyone was amazed because the only other computers at the time were these PCs with little tiny screens and green text on a black background. So the Macintosh changed everything, and for a few years after that, Apple had this amazing hype around them. But then in the late 80s, they actually kicked out one of their founders, Steve Jobs, who had a lot of the vision and commitment to make the original Macintosh. And from then on, the PC business absolutely ate their lunch. Windows came out, it was in color, and it was faster, and it made the Macintosh look slow and dated. So then, in the 90s, Apple kind of lost their way. Like, they didn't really know what they were doing. They were producing beige boxes that were just like PCs, but slower. Until finally, in 1997, Steve Jobs came back to the fold. He was reborn like a phoenix from the ashes, and came back to Apple and produced the iMac and all these other fantastic systems, which were fantastic for their day. They had bright colors and incredible design. He brought in Jonathan Ive, who was an amazing designer. And then from that point onwards, there was just success after success after success. First, the iPod. At the time, when the iPod came out, everyone's like, that's way too expensive. It'll never take off. But it did, and it created the online music industry as we know it today. Then there was the OS X. While he was away from Apple, Steve Jobs founded a company called Next, which produced an operating system also called Next, which then became the foundation for OS X, which is Apple's new operating system, which is carrying them into the future. And now, finally, they're releasing phones, and these phones are sort of supposed to revolutionize the way that phones work. So if I was to sum up exactly what it is that makes Apple products so exciting, essentially, it's Steve Jobs. That man is a one-man spin machine. Apparently Jobs is known to have his own reality distortion field. I've spoken to people who work with him, and these people swear to God, if you buy into the Jobsian reality distortion field, you're in. If you don't, you're out. He surrounds himself with people who believe in what he believes, and as a result, somehow he's able to pull off shops like this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a massive Woody just standing here. I'm going to go in there and wave it around.
Oh, Dan Walmsley. God help Steve Jobs if he somehow comes in contact with Dan Walmsley. There will be a love fest the size of Christmas.
There'll be a bear hug from hell coming your way, Jobsy.
But that was the Jobsy.
That's unfortunate. Isn't it?
It is a bit unfortunate. Sorry about the technical glitch during that interview, but you know, the satellite, a little bit tricky sometimes.
Dan was here. He wasn't able.
Dear RoboGames, I sure loved seeing your amazing fighting robots. They were really good. I give them 7 out of 10 and recommend them for 11-year-olds who want to lose an arm. I particularly liked meeting the artists there. That was unexpected. Lovely. Nemo Gould is a frickin' genius.
Now, Nemo, what are you doing here at the RoboGames?
Well, I'm an artist primarily, so I have sculptures that remind people of robots, and that's why I was deemed relevant for this kind of event.
Okay, and how did you get into that whole sort of field of sculpture?
Well, I watched a lot of science fiction movies when I was a kid and found I had a real steady habit of taking appliances and machines apart, and eventually after a few years of just collecting objects, they started to sort of form back together into the sculptures that I've developed over the years since then.
Okay, so did you study some sort of like design or art at university, or did you just kind of teach yourself?
I went to the Kansas City Art Institute, and then I went to UC Berkeley for a graduate degree in art as well. All the mechanics and engineering work has had to come later, sort of through the help of friends, word of mouth, trial and error.
So you have a whole bunch of sort of technical people helping you out with those aspects of it and kind of collaborating?
I have a few in particular who've been really indispensable to me.
Cool. Do you want to give them a shout out on the show?
I do. Christopher Palmer, who's here today also, has been by far my biggest technical support. He's really responsible for a lot of things that have not caught fire.
Is that a danger in this industry? Have you had a few like near mishaps?
Well, the work I do is pretty it's pretty delicate in nature compared to a lot of the combat-based work you'll see here today. So I don't have necessarily pyrotechnics or anything, but I'm still dealing with electricity and moving parts, and you can definitely go wrong.
Now, I know that I happened to view a few exhibits by one of your sort of, not mentors, but you know, the inspirations. Can you just talk quickly about Arthur Ganson?
Yeah. You could definitely call him a mentor if you like, although we've never met. He's been a real inspiration as one who has taken machine form and really made it an art experience. And there's really nobody better at it, in my opinion.
So how long has he been doing it? When was the field sort of established?
Well, I couldn't say. It's been around longer than I have, that's for sure. It's nothing new under the sun. I was influenced heavily by Clayton Bailey and the Survival Research Laboratory group when I was younger. I wasn't aware of Arthur Ganson until more recently. But I assumed that people were doing it way before them even. It was just when I sort of woke up and started paying attention.
Yeah, well, I guess since the days of the Mechanical Turk and all that sort of stuff, I mean, it's people have been experimenting with robotics and cybernetics and the intersection with art.
Exactly. Trying to mimic the form that we're used to walking around in all the time. It's a pretty old art idea. It's just as the technology advances, we get more and more ways to explore it.
Cool. And do you see a lot more intelligence being built into these machines as time goes by? Do you think we're going to see, you know, cyber sex bots like the ones out of Metropolis anytime soon?
I do. I think I won't have much to do with it. I'm still a real nuts and bolts kind of character. I don't have programming knowledge. I don't use programmable chips. I'm doing a very low-tech approach. I still like, you know, wind-up toys. But if you look around you today, you're going to see that things are pushing into some very interesting far-out territory that I get a real kick out of witnessing, but I lose personal connection if I can't, you know, touch the parts and have a more, I don't know, toy-like experience, I guess.
Also, we have to ask, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Well, Star Wars, definitely. The scene where the robots are being salvaged by the sand people and stripped down for parts, I often sort of blame for being why my life took the shape it did. I've been sort of chasing that feeling my whole life, and my shop now looks quite a bit like that salvage ship.
So you are a Jawa, is that what you're trying to say?
I've often felt like I was perhaps the largest Jawa.
King of the Jawas.
Could be, yeah, I could take like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah, I've seen you in the dark. Those glowing yellow eyes are a dead giveaway. All right, Nemo, thank you very much for being on Planet Nerd.
Thank you very much for having me. Cheers.
Dear my electric company, I realize that I have been using a lot of electricity, but you see, this is essential for my experiments, which will eventually enslave you and all your staff. If you wish for me to reduce my consumption, you might try cowering with fear, or dedicating your life to serving me. Love, Gargantutron!
It's 8:30 in the morning and all your devices are sound asleep. Or are they? Every little blinking orange light, everything that tells the time, everything that's got a slight whirring noise or a little bit of heat coming out the top, that thing is alive. It's consuming electricity, it's consuming resources, and it's costing you money. So buddy, you better listen up. In a time when we're all concerned about the amount of fossil fuels being pumped out into the air when we drive our car, when we run our fridge, no one really thinks about computers. And the environmental impact of computers is quite significant. For example, when a computer is running, it uses quite a bit less power than, say, a refrigerator, and so you would think that the environmental impact is not that great. But one computer uses over 2 tons of water and also about 240 kilograms of iron and chemicals and things like that, of raw materials. So the eventual environmental impact of a computer is about the same as a refrigerator, which is up there when it comes to things that we use in our homes. The most energy that a computer uses is consumed by the screen. Screens of various kinds use different amounts of power. So for example, an old CRT, cathode ray tube, the ones that look like a television, they consume the most, say 30 to 50 watts of power, just like running a light globe in your house. You may think, oh, but I have the screensaver on. The screensaver doesn't do anything. The screensaver is just a pretty picture that plays when you're not using a computer. The screen will still be using the same amount of power even when the screensaver's on. What you need to do to use less power is to have it go down into a standby mode, or better still, just switch it off completely. You're not using it, it doesn't need to go blinking away. The most efficient are LCDs. LCD screens use about 1/10 to 1/15, something like that, of the amount of power of a normal monitor per brightness. And one of the reasons why they're so efficient is they don't produce any heat, or very little heat. Here we have my home entertainment setup, and this is my TV. Now this TV has a standby mode. This little yellow button will come on, but it has a power switch right below it. So why wouldn't you just give it a bit of that? What, are you broken? Some people might have a VCR or a CD player. Now these things do have quite efficient standby modes and they have on-off switches, but most people leave them on all the time. If it's displaying all of its little icons across the front, then it's running and it's consuming maybe 15 or 20 watts of power. So again, there's something you could turn off and save a few trees, you lazy bum. And here is a Nintendo Wii. This is a standard gaming console, and as you can see, little orange light on the front. Bad Dan. Bad Dan. This thing is consuming power. We could turn it off and save ourselves, you know, a fractional but still significant over time amount of power. And don't forget, when these things use electricity and when you buy new stuff and throw it out and when you have all the devices that your heart desires, it's also costing you money. So by saving the environment, by using less stuff, by turning it off at the wall, you can actually help your hip pocket as well as save the world. And I think that's worth doing.
Moranology teaches us there are 3 basic groups of stupid. The stupid who amuse us, the stupid who annoy us, and the stupid who endanger us. But today we're going to look at a large subgroup of stupid. Stupid who are usually not self-stupid aware. Stupid whose actions directly or indirectly piss off the rest of us. Thickheads who annoy total strangers, or twats. Now we're not talking about twats who are indifferent to the repercussions of their actions, like those who perform or behold neighbourhood burnouts at 3 in the morning. But while I'm at it, I mean, let wheels spin round, make noise, make smoke, look. Get over it. No, we're focusing on everyday twats that perpetuate everyday annoyances, while not realising that their exploited stupidity is adversely affecting the rest of us. For example, it's happened to all of us. We open our email to find our inbox overflowing with spam. I mean, I was really starting to develop a complex after receiving endless emails offering cheap Viagra or penile enlargement. Now, most people blame the spammers, but they wouldn't send spam if the twats didn't actually reply to these things. The same with cold callers. Companies who ring you at home trying to get you to buy or sign up for something. This bottom-of-the-barrel marketing must meet with some success because of twats. Otherwise, there'd be no point in them doing it.
Yes, I will buy your product or sign up for your 2-year deal without doing any comparative shopping. Oh, and you'd like my credit card details? Even though I have no real proof you are who you say you are? Sure.
I mean, come on, you idiots. If the product they were selling was any good, we'd be ringing them, not the other way around. Have you tried to watch morning or late night TV recently? It's slowly been engulfed by TV shopping. Now, who but twats would purchase something from TV shopping? Really, how many of us have been in the kitchen and genuinely thought,
man, I wish I had some sort of hand crank potato peeler or multi-purpose onion chopper / pasta cooker.
And then turn on our telly to find the answer to our dreams? Our research reveals only 12, well short of the number needed to financially vindicate these shows. Now, these shows survive because they're able to convince twats that they actually need whatever crap they happen to be selling at the time. And while we're on it, let's look at reality TV. Again, only twats would want to watch a show about twats. The scary part is that there must be enough twats in this world to make these shows rate. But to the rest of us, these twats are taking up airtime that may, by some slim chance, be showing something of real value or entertainment. What I find even more amazing is that these twats are so stupid that they waste their own money phoning or SMSing people off these shows. God, it's the truth. And talking about twats paying money to phone in their opinion, what's the point of these TV and newspaper phone-in polls? These so-called polls usually target a topical or controversial subject with a yes or no question, hoping that the twats watching or reading will be motivated enough to respond. Why would anyone but twats bother, let alone waste the money involved in registering a vote? What do these morons think's going to come of these typically predictable results? Do these codpieces actually think that anyone of any importance would pay any heed at all to any resulting conclusions derived entirely from the opinion of idiots? We get it, you dickheads. Listen, stop the camera. Sometimes this job really gets to you. Listen, can we shoot this bit tomorrow? I just need a drink.